man standing in the hallway had already killed half the house before anyone realized. The footsteps upstairs were not part of the family moving in their sleep. By the time one bedroom door slowly opened near midnight, the axe was already wet, the windows had been covered from the inside, and someone was still quietly walking through the Moore house, looking for the next room. Late night in the Moore house, Josiah returned home with Sarah and their 4 children, with overnight guest Ina and Lena after the church gathering, while the rest of the town slowly went dark outside. As everyone prepared for bed, Josiah noticed the back door slightly open, even though he clearly remembered locking it earlier, but after checking the empty kitchen and alley behind the house, he quietly shut it again, without waking anyone. Near midnight upstairs, Ina woke after hearing drawers softly opening somewhere below the guest room, followed by the quiet creak of floorboards moving from the kitchen toward the staircase. The sounds were careful and slow, almost as though someone inside the house was trying not to wake the family. Inside the master bedroom, Sarah opened her eyes, after hearing Josiah suddenly inhale sharply beside her in the darkness. When she turned toward him, a violent impact struck the bed, followed by another heavier blow, while the bedroom door slowly drifted closed, as the figure remained standing beside them. Upstairs, Lena woke to the sound of something heavy being dragged across the lower floor, while muffled impacts echoed through the walls beneath the guest room. Several seconds later, the sound of slow footsteps began as if someone climbing upward, toward them. The footsteps stopped directly outside the guest room door, while the entire house fell silent enough for Ina to hear her own breathing beneath the blankets. After several long seconds, the doorknob turned halfway and stopped, as though the person outside was listening carefully before entering. Late night inside the guest room, the darkness concealed nearly everything, except the faint outline of a man standing beside the bed, holding an axe low near the floor. Neither woman moved beneath the blankets, while the stranger remained there silently, long enough for the sound of dripping blood to become noticeable inside the room. Downstairs, the unknown man stayed inside the house, instead of leaving after the killings were finished. He moved calmly through the rooms in silence, covering windows, sitting alone in the dining room for several minutes, and occasionally returning to stand motionless near the staircase, listening for movement above. Near dawn, one faint sound from upstairs caused the man to rise again, and slowly carry the axe back toward the guest room. This time the footsteps did not stop outside the door, and the sounds that followed were violent enough that nearby neighbors would later remember hearing something disturbing during the night, without understanding where it came from. Before sunrise, the killer remained alone inside the dark house, while the town outside slowly began waking for morning chores and deliveries. He quietly crossed through the bedrooms one final time, adjusted blankets over the bodies, and sat near the extinguished lantern, listening to the silence surrounding him. Morning arrived, but the Moore house remained sealed in silence, with every curtain tightly covered from the inside, and no one answering the door. When neighbors finally entered, they discovered blood-soaked bedrooms, covered mirrors, and signs that the killer had remained inside the home for hours, after every victim was already dead. The reason the killer kept returning to the guest room throughout the night was likely because he believed one of the women upstairs had seen his face during the first attack downstairs, which may explain why he stayed inside the house for hours afterward, listening for movement instead of leaving immediately after the murders were finished. What do you think could make someone walk silently through an entire house, killing strangers one room at a time, without taking anything or leaving a clear reason behind? Follow for more true horror stories and comment what you believe drove the Villisca murderer that night.